Welcome back to Gale Force Wins Season 3.
The Gale Force Wins podcast is proudly sponsored by Newfound Marketing, a digital marketing agency located in St. John's, Newfoundland. Visit our website at newfoundmarketing.ca to find out how we can help your business grow. Newfound Marketing, a complement to your marketing team.
And welcome to another edition of Gale Force Wins, and I want to tell you, this one is a special one. We're about to go to a hockey game. You can't make it up right here, and tonight we're going to meet some very special people that are involved in that. I'm Alan Dale. With me is my co-host Judith Lovis, and Judith's been taking us around this incredible country that is Hungary. We've been showcasing the people, the architecture, the cuisine. You can't make it up how beautiful this place is. I am so privileged to be here. Judith, what do you think?
And this is one of my proudest moments, that I managed to bring 3 East Coasters together for this conversation.
Yeah.
So I look forward to it. So let's get started.
So folks, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let's start.
I'm Michelle Cole MacAdam. Grew up in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Go
East
on.
End.
What part?
East End.
Right in the East End of St. John's.
Right at the East End.
Whereabouts? Now you couldn't have grown up in the Battery.
Torbay Road area.
Torbay Road.
Yeah.
That's pretty east.
Back then it was very east.
Far as east as you could go.
Outside of Quietvida.
That's right. So Torbay Road. So tell us a little bit about your life back then in Torbay Road.
Well, back then I have 2 older sisters, Karen and Sandra. Younger brother, Gerald. We went to school at Mary Queen of Peace.
Sure.
Mom is Jean Stone from Quietvida.
Yeah.
Dad was a Cole from Torbay Road. Went to Holy Heart when it was all girls school.
That's right.
I have 2 children, Lindsay and Andrew, and now my son and his wife have a little fella, so we're grandparents to Harry.
Wow.
So life's good.
How old's Harry?
9 months.
9 months old. So you're fresh grandparents.
We're fresh out of the box.
That's a new phase of life, and it must be exciting.
Very.
Yes. Yeah? Yeah, I can tell by your eyes that you're excited about it.
He has us thoroughly wrapped.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good. How about yourself, sir?
Don MacAdam. I grew up in Morell, Prince Edward Island. A population of, back then it was around 250 people and about 75 MacAdams, so you couldn't get away with anything. My mom and dad ran a restaurant. They had that for 30 years. And Morell's halfway between Charlottetown and Surrey for those on the east end of the island, so
yeah.
It was a popular spot. And as you know, PEI, everybody wants to know who your parents are so they can identify you on the family tree. One grandfather was a fisherman, the other one was a farmer, so I got the best of both for PEI.
Yeah.
And then the other big industry there is tourism, which is a big thing now. And we have a cottage at Lakeside.
Yeah.
We had one there for over 40 years, so we love going back there every summer. We spent at least a couple of months there. But I left I left PEI to go to UNB. I went to UPEI my first year. Right. Then I got a phys ed degree from UNB and then a master's, and I played hockey there too. So that was kind of the start of my hockey journey, and it's gotten us here all the way to Budapest, so it's been a long journey, lots of stops.
I was going to say, so you hit really all the PEI high points there, didn't you? You got a fisherman, you got a farmer,
right?
You got a tourism operation, and hockey. It doesn't get much more PEI
There's
than
nothing
that.
else. That's right. That's
Unless
PEI.
somebody in the mix was a ferry driver, were they? Anybody drive a ferry?
No. But I used to have to catch the ferry to go to UNB all the time, and I almost got down and kissed the ground when they finished the bridge.
Hey?
It was a wonderful thing.
That was not an easy time, was it, for PEI, having to catch that ferry?
Well, I coached the PEI Senators one year, and we played in Moncton on December 26th. And the plan was we drove over. The plan was to catch the last crossing at night. We caught it in a storm, and we're on the ferry for 17 and a half hours, stuck in ice. So all kinds of PEI people can relate to those stories.
You ever been the last on or the first off the boat? That's a big PEI thing, isn't it?
No kidding. Well, the race to the ferry, when you go through the roundabout at Allac, that's a big deal.
That's right, yeah.
It was only good when I had the Trans Am back when I was younger and foolish and didn't care about speeding tickets.
It's a wonder that PEI doesn't have somebody in the F1 circuit after doing that run, eh?
No kidding.
Hey?
Well, PEI, I always thought PEI had the worst drivers in the world until I got to Newfoundland. So they got pushed to second place.
No, okay, so that's a great conduit over to you, because I want to tell you, there's some crazy intersections in Newfoundland, and they don't really like roundabouts, do they, in Newfoundland?
No, I'm used to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't go over really well. There was like a little tutorials online and on the news how to navigate them. I think they're wonderful. They just keep things moving. But PEI, I'm sure, could break a record per capita for the
There's a few
number of
roundabouts in PEI.
in the middle of a suburban neighborhood.
You can't make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fields. There's nothing but fields all around this roundabout.
Well, that was
That's
Ron
cool.
McKinley when he was Minister of Transportation. They called him Roundabout Ronnie. He put one up everywhere, didn't he? It was unbelievable. So listen, how did you grow up in Newfoundland? What were your big influencers? What were you doing when you were at Holy Heart? What were you excited about?
Going to hockey games, going to sport.
Is that right? Going to see Gonzaga play Brother Rice.
That was the two.
That was a big thing, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was huge. I spent a lot of my childhood down Guadalajara.
Did you?
Yeah, so that's where my grandparents were from. That's where my mom is from.
Yeah.
Actually, that's where we got married, on the wharf.
Right down in the Gus.
Yeah, it's kind of our
Yep.
place.
It's that place. We
So-
were in the habit of going down there in the evenings. You know, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's kitty bitty to me, by the
Yeah.
way. But anyway, that's another whole story.
It's kitty witty to me too.
Okay, so
Kitty witty to me too.
Okay,
Don't
so
feel bad.
2 out of 3. So we go down there in the evening just with a hot drink or whatever, just sit and just sit on the benches there, and it's really, really cool. And of course the brewery's down there now, and it's a popular spot. But there's so many places in Newfoundland. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we found the same thing when we came here. Like we walk every morning for at least an hour, and we when we're on the same streets, we see different things every day.
Is that right?
And we've been here for 4 years. This is our 4th year, so
my God.
it's this place is amazing too. But one of the cool things for us is we get to spend the winters here and enjoy Hungarian culture and the environment, and especially the people. And then we get to go back to Atlantic Canada in the summer. We have a place in Renews now, which is a fabulous little community, great people there, and we're right next door to Pam. Pam is Michelle's best friend.
Yeah.
Right next door to Pam and Andy and Sullivan there. So we really feel we've got the best thing going here.
Yeah, you guys come from pretty beautiful parts of the world. St. John's, Newfoundland, Morell, Prince Edward Island. You've got a vacation property in Renews, Newfoundland, which is spectacular.
Spectacular. It is.
And now you live in Budapest. I mean, this is just a beautiful life, but you didn't get here
is.
overnight. Tell us a little bit about your journey, your hockey journey. Where did it take you? What did you do?
Well, it was interesting though. My first year at UPEI, I played varsity football. And to brag a little bit, the football field was named after my uncle A.J. MacAdam. So
Right.
he was the athletics director at St. Dunstan's University, which became UPEI. And then I went to UNB and played hockey there. And then I went to a pro camp. I was invited to the Leafs camp and went to the Toronto Tours in the old WHA days. And then I ended up going to Europe. And I played in Holland my first season over here, and then went back and did my master's and went back to Europe, and I was a player coach, and that's where my coaching started.
Okay.
Then back to UNB as an assistant coach. Then I coached there for 8 years. So then I went to Major Junior in Sault Ste. Marie, and then I went to Detroit with Jacques Demers as the head coach, and as an assistant with him for 3 years in the NHL. And then I coached in the American League 7-8 years, Cape Breton, another beautiful place,
Sure
to say
it
the
is.
least. I coached the Cape Breton Oilers there for the Edmonton Oilers, and got a Stanley Cup ring out of it, which was kind of cool.
Wow.
And then I coached in North Carolina, in Charlotte, with the New York Rangers farm team there. I've coached in Milwaukee, and I've coached in 9 different countries now, and in 4 different provinces and 10 different states. So, and this is my 5th country in Europe.
He's well traveled.
You know your way around a bench, for sure. Is hockey the same all over? Doesn't matter? Or is there intricacies to it? Subtleties?
It's a lot the same, because generally speaking, hockey guys are pretty down-to-earth guys. They're regular guys. They're not a lot of egos to speak of. The higher up you go, the more egos you'll run into. But the coaches are salt-of-the-earth guys. We're as a coach, you're really a teacher.
Yeah.
You're teaching hockey, but most coaches now, they really focus on the person. Like you want talented players, but you want good people first. That's usually the number one criteria for teams and for coaches who want to build great teams. And here in Hungary, we're behind in a couple of things, just simply because in Central Europe you're not as you're removed from Sweden and Finland and in the top hockey countries in Europe, and you're quite removed from North America. But we have a number of players that are playing in North America now. We have 3 in NCAA. We have a lot in the junior leagues, especially in the U.S. And we have like half our national team is playing in the tournament this weekend. They're playing in all those other countries: Finland, Sweden, Germany, Great Britain. So it's here. It's a lot more of a worldly sport. Like, there's people from everywhere. Like, we were watching the Italian team earlier.
Yeah.
The 3 coaches on the bench are all Canadian guys.
Wow.
And the Japanese head coach is a Canadian guy. So that's a big export for Canada as hockey guys. And we get here, and then it's almost addictive because the culture here is such a great place for us to live. I mean, we just, like, every day it's something new every day.
Yeah.
And again, like we said, we have that great fallback where we're going back to Atlantic Canada, or either the cottage in PEI or to Newfoundland. It's fabulous.
The culture that you describe and the travels and running into probably a lot of people that you knew throughout your entire journey here, right? It reminds me of almost like a military culture, a camaraderie that builds amongst a group. You must feel that as a couple even, right? That you're traveling through this world with a cohort of people that you're going
Navigating.
to intersect with somewhere in the world. That must be great.
Well, Michelle has stories like she did a lot of the travel as a travel agent. She was doing a lot of travel for hockey team. She did group travel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she ran into, for a couple of years ago, she ran into a coach who she was doing the travel for them. She should tell the story, but former player of mine. And,
Oh, is that right?
yeah.
Well, let's hear the story.
Yeah, let's hear the story.
Back to finish.
No, Doug
When
Christensen.
I ran into, excuse me, I was doing travel for the East Coast League.
Okay.
So St. John's has the Newfoundland Growlers, but I also did visiting teams as well at the time. And one of the teams that was coming for the playoffs, the head coach was Doug Christensen.
Okay.
So I'd spoken to him several times about travel and charters. And everything when you get in the playoffs is a what if we lose in 4, if we win in 5, it's
Right,
just everything.
I never even looked at it from that point of view, but I bet.
Logistics are huge.
Yeah.
So I was talking to him, and I went home and I was telling Don, I'm speaking to this guy and working out stuff for him, and he just said, "Who are you dealing with?" And I said, "Doug Christensen." And he said, "Oh, tell him I said hi." So the next time I was talking to Doug, he said, "By the way, my husband says hello." And he said, "Who's your husband?" And I said, "Don MacAdam." He said, "Don MacAdam is your husband?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Let me tell you a story. He changed my life." And I was shocked. So immediately I took my pen and I started writing, because you don't hear someone say that, you know. So I said, "He did." He said, "He changed my life." He said, "I was bouncing around from teams, and he ended up with..."
Traded for him.
Don traded for him. And he said, Don called me into his office, and the first thing he asked me is, "What are you good at?" He said, and I told him I'm good at penalty killing, power play, whatever. And he said, and Don put me in those positions to succeed. And I did. And he said, Don's the reason why I'm a coach.
Wow.
So I wrote it all down. So I went home and I told Don. He was really touched by it. And Doug wanted to meet up with us. And after that game, we got together. Great visit with him. And we stay in touch on Facebook, as everybody does, and all that good stuff. So it all comes full circle
doesn't
sometimes.
it?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story, and there's no doubt in my mind you've changed a lot of people's lives. If you've coached a lot of people over your life, there's no doubt you've impacted a lot of people. That was probably only one story you ever heard about.
Yeah.
Judith is a professional coach as well. Not
a different kind.
A different kind of coach. But it's true, right? I mean, human relationships matter so much.
Yeah, and you never know when it comes back to full circles, right?
Yeah.
It could be decades later, not necessarily right away, but it's fantastic. And what I find in Newfoundland, and especially because the people are so open and friendly, then they talk a lot about their lives, so it's such an embracing community. So it happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
Like when I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah. Well, you know, where you folks are from, they're pretty warm and embracing places, both of them, right?
Especially.
Yeah, right. Well, Islanders like to know where you were born. That's 100%, right? So, no, but they're warm and embracing places. And it comes across in your personalities. I mean, hockey is in your blood as much as it is in his.
Yeah.
You were going down to the stadium watching those games, and
career.
And then your career, find yourself
and
in
actually,
hockey.
I was dealing with pro hockey teams when I, by chance, met Don at a celebrity golf tournament.
Oh, is that right?
And that was back in the early 90s.
Yeah. Bob Cole.
Bob Cole.
Celebrity
There you go.
golf.
That's a big hockey name.
Yeah.
One of the great broadcasters of all time,
Right.
to say the least.
Yeah. So tell me about that. How did you meet?
Oh, it was just at a golf tournament, and it was the...
You were a volunteer.
Yeah, I was a volunteer, and I didn't meet him because I wasn't there, I guess, when he checked in. And I was introduced to you the night before it was over. And after that, talk about Newfoundland hospitality. He was asking me about, going touring around the next day. And I said, well, there's lots of places to go visit, but I'm working, but you're welcome to take my vehicle. So he did.
That happened twice in Newfoundland to me, and both times the person didn't know me at all.
Yeah.
And I went there with the Cape Breton Oilers, and I was taking the trainer and the equipment manager out for lunch, and it was like 2 o'clock, so there's nobody in the restaurant, and the guy behind the bar says, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, we were going to go look at Signal Hill, and the guys hadn't been up there before." And he said, "Well, take my car. I'm here all day." I said, no, we can't do that. He said, I'm going to be here. You're coming back. We're on an island. You're not going
You're
far.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it turned out that we owned the bar, and the car was a Jaguar. So, but that's Newfoundland.
Mine wasn't a Jag.
Yours wasn't a Jag? But that is Newfoundland, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, that's East Coast of Canada.
Yeah.
Right? It's that opening, inviting, feeling about being there. You're part of it. Pretty amazing, eh?
It
to
is.
come from a place like that.
But we found the same thing here. I mean, the apartment building we're in, we're right downtown. We've got a great location and great views and everything. But if we want something, there's always, I know somebody who can get that for you. Want a TV or you want something fixed. There's always somebody ready to help here. And it's the same thing with the people I work with. They're the very same way.
Is that right?
Very same way.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, so Jerry and I have been here now for 4 or 5 days. We get off the plane, we're met by Judith and her family, invited into their home for supper where Judith's mom cooks a wonderful meal.
Oh.
It was exactly the same as what you described, right? Welcomed in immediately into their life and everything about their life, and so excited to show us all the places right around here and help us with everything. And it's the same feeling for sure. I'm convinced people are people no matter where you go in the world,
absolutely.
right? Hey? And you would have seen that through your hockey travels, right?
Yeah. And you judge the place by the people.
Yeah.
You come here and you don't even have to see anybody and you'd be overwhelmed with just the architecture in Budapest. It's amazing.
Spectacular.
But then when you add the people on top of that, it's really cool. It really is.
So what I would be interested in to know more about that, you mentioned that this is your 5th country in Europe.
Yes.
So how is Hungary compared to other European countries? Where were you before?
Well,
how did you get here?
Well, England was interesting, especially for Newfoundlanders, because they're 1950 when you separated, 49 separated from Britain and joined Canada. But England was really interesting. Kind of the British are what you see is what you get. It's I really enjoyed Holland, because there's a real Holland-Canada connection because of the Second World War and Canadian soldiers liberating Holland, and there are a lot of Dutch people live in PEI as an example.
Of course, yeah.
They moved there as farmers and so on. What's next?
Italy.
In Austria, it was really. Same kind of thing. We're a beautiful country, very well run, very clean and orderly and all that. But the people are fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I coached in Romania for half a season. totally different country from all the rest because it's a little bit behind in a lot of ways because of the communist ruler they had for so long there. And
Italy.
And Italy was so cool.
Is that right?
The north. Oh yeah, because the food and the people are the same too. They were just so kind. And same thing like you experienced here. They'll bring you into their home. Now, when I lived in the U.S. for 17 years, coaching in again 8 different states. But what the difference there is, it's not quite the same. It's still wonderful people.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's
Right.
just there's a different mentality and cultural approach to things.
Yeah.
And then when we got here, it's just kind of a combination of all the good things we've seen everywhere else.
I
Yeah.
think the difference too with Hungary is we're totally immersed in the city, whereas in Italy we lived in the middle of a vineyard on a lake.
Okay.
And when we were in
Outside Bolzano. So we were close to a big city, but not. And then same thing
you
in
weren't
Austria.
there every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And then when we were in Austria, we were on a lake,
On a lake again. So
half an hour outside of
islanders, water.
Salzburg.
Yeah.
So we're totally immersed.
Yeah.
So you get to see and experience, I think, more when you spend every day and night in the city.
Yeah.
It's just magical.
You're part of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the pulse, and it is an amazing city.
it is
It's
spectacular.
vibrant, and there's
Yeah.
so much going on,
And everything works.
and everything works.
You were saying that today.
We're fascinated that you have so many pedestrians, cyclists, cars, buses,
Yeah.
trams, and everything moves
Right.
on time
Yeah, it
and on
does.
schedule.
Yeah.
You don't hear people honking their horns.
Yeah.
Everybody respects
That's really rare here.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's just, I find it amazing.
It's funny that I haven't heard a car horn go off.
No,
Interestingly enough, yeah.
But everything's perspective. 'Cause I was saying
Yeah.
that to one of our players last year. And he said, "You like the drivers here? They're all crazy." But everything's relative, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you hardly ever see a traffic jam. Nobody's a big traffic person for sure,
Right.
but here, like if it goes down to one lane at home,
Yeah.
sometimes, and for sure in the U.S. one lane they're not letting anybody in. Here it's the scissor, they call it,
the
right?
zipper. Yeah.
The zipper, excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's one all the time. Every time.
Every time.
Everything
Every
works.
time. Every time.
Yeah,
And nobody even thinks about it. Nobody's honking or the horn to get their turn. It's stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's so interesting because that's my opinion about Newfoundland and driving in St. John's.
People are friendly and they let you. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, that's my feeling. And I come here to Hungary and I see everybody's aggressive and everybody is like such a.
That's only because you came from St. John's to here.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
right.
zen.
Yeah.
Depends where you're coming from.
But Don drives like he's grown up here.
Is that right?
Everywhere we've lived.
I'm used to it from driving a Morell PEI with those 250 people.
Oh, you know your way around for sure.
It's amazing. He'll go through Vienna, he'll go through Budapest,
But don't go through red lights.
anywhere.
I don't go through red
Venice,
lights.
everywhere we
Yeah.
go, he just, it's like he knows it. I find it fascinating. I won't drive.
No, you don't drive here?
No.
No. Tell me now where we are right now, where we're physically located and having this conversation. What is this building?
This is called the English. It's called Tuskatornik, but in English they call it the Spike Arena. And hopefully you can get a shot of the roof. It's glass spikes on the roof. It's really quite distinctive, and it lights up at night. And I'm sure you've seen that. You've been out at night. A lot of the buildings here light up. It's a whole different atmosphere at night.
Yeah.
You get out on the Danube and you get to see the Parliament. The Parliament's a spectacular building.
We just did that yesterday.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that
Ellen,
amazing?
how did you like it?
Oh, so, I mean, how do you describe something like that?
I know.
It's difficult to even put into words, right? As you go down the Danube, and the whole city is glistening.
Yeah.
The water is glistening. It's unbelievable. It's as beautiful at night as it is during the day, and the architecture is complex, and it's
Isn't that
it's
amazing?
eclectic. It's kind of like jazz music. It's confusing, but yet it's beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
because they marry history with modern
Yeah.
structures, And it just all works.
And then you see in the midst
amazing.
of it all some sort of a Soviet bloc building, right? And it's just, it
Kinda sticks
all
out.
works, right? But it's an amazing place.
They honor their history, which is,
Yeah.
that's another thing we've noticed. That
Yeah.
they acknowledge and honor their history, whether it's good or bad,
Yeah.
really.
So this arena, pretty unique inside.
Yeah.
Pretty modern.
Yeah.
We were down in the bowels of the arena.
The
A lot of
labyrinth
stuff
down
going
there.
on down
Yeah.
there. Other sports happening.
Yeah, it's a state facility.
Okay.
But we had the Hungarian Ice Hockey Federation. The hockey people are based here, and the administrative people are in a building called the Sport Hall, where all the federations except the soccer are in. But this is where, like this weekend, we're hosting a Six Nations tournament. We have virtually all our training camps here. But this week, for example, we have we have two U20 teams on the road. One is in Slovakia, one is in Austria. We have a U20, a U20s, our U18s are in Fejevar, another city near here, but they're playing Poland. And it's neat. Is it 8 countries that border on Hungary? So you're really close to a lot of places.
Right.
Like we tell the story like at home, and we go from St. John's to catch the ferry to go to the cottage. It's 9-hour drive across the island, and 9 hours from here you can be in 7 different countries.
Yeah.
You know, it's
great.
it's 2.5 hours to Vienna. It's 4 or 5 to Venice, and it's 4 to Prague, and so it works both ways. Nobody here can believe Newfoundland is so big, and
Right.
and people at home can't believe we're so close to so many
Go to
world-class cities.
Bratislava for a weekend.
Yeah, Bratislava is an hour and a half down the road.
Wow.
No problem going for lunch if you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, so we were at the airport the other day, a beautiful modern airport,
Yeah.
and Discount Airlines situated in one terminal, and their strategy is fly people out in the morning and bring them back at night. So during the day, it's pretty quiet in that terminal. But the whole thing is, because you can access so many places, you can
amazing.
show up with a bag, not even have selected where you want to go, and just hop on a plane.
It's amazing.
yeah.
Where does that happen?
Not in Newfoundland.
Not, it's just, or PEI, or it doesn't even happen in Canada, right?
No, it doesn't.
You know, I mean, that's a pretty remarkable thing.
But the European lifestyle, though, is so totally different. You know, what's that old line? North Americans, they how does that go? They live to work, and Europeans work to live.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like we'll go for a coffee, and it'll take us 3.5 minutes.
You're right.
We're there, have a coffee, gone. Here, it's an hour and a half.
Do you notice
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
on this particular trip, do you notice that we're moving fast?
No, we're not moving fast. we're taking time because I want to show you everything. I want
Right.
you to enjoy the journey.
Right. And how was I responding to that initially? I'm settled now, I think.
Yeah, that's right. You're getting there.
It's so true, though, right?
yeah.
It's a whole different way of viewing how you do business and the like, right?
Yeah.
So in this facility, the hockey team, the Hockey Federation, hockey a big thing here?
It's getting to be.
Yeah.
It's getting to be. Like this is my 4th year here, so I've seen a big change already. I originally came and was working with Ferencváros, which is the largest sport club in the country, but they have a huge soccer stadium, a 20,000 seat stadium, and they have got a great soccer team. They have water polo is a big sport here. Soccer's the biggest, though, and I think we're 4th.
Right.
And it's really changing. Our women, our senior women's teams now in the A pool. Last year we were in 1A, which is just below the big dogs.
Right.
And we got promoted to the A pool this year, so we'll be playing in Tampere. Canada's in the other division, but we have USA and Sweden and Finland in ours, so it's going to be quite a challenge for us. But it's in all our age levels. I see a dramatic change every year.
Is that right?
Part of it is not that we're doing anything dramatically different. We're just focusing on the basics, and the big thing is coaching. One interesting thing about here that Canadians would be surprised to know: all minor hockey coaches get paid.
Is that right?
They all get paid. Basically, a decent full-time wage by Hungarian standards. They can have another job, but they all get paid.
Really?
And we have a system built in from the government. The government funds virtually everything. They spend a lot of money on sports, on culture. You know a lot more about that, but it's they really heavily subsidize key things for the growth of a country.
Right. When do the kids get into hockey here? Quite young, like in
Oh, yeah.
Canada? Same thing.
Same thing. We have a learn to skate program that the Federation runs, and we have organized leagues from U8.
Okay.
all the way up.
And the coaches there are paid.
They're all paid.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that must really change the dynamic of things for sure.
Well, one of the things we're trying to change is trying to upgrade the level of education for the coaches. We're doing more and more every year, but the biggest thing is we all learn by example.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the old style of coaching, the screaming and yelling at the kids,
Yeah.
to get them going, which doesn't work anymore.
Right.
We're still just almost eliminating that out of our program now. So
Yeah.
we're catching up with the modern coaching techniques.
And I'm so glad to hear that, because that was one of my concerns when my daughter started figure skating. And she started figure skating in Hungary. Then we moved to Canada, and the style of the coach in Canada, it was just amazing, patient and kind and supportive. And whereas in Hungary before, we thought that, so they're in the military, like kids at the age of 4 or 5, they're like in the military. And then so I'm glad to hear that it's changing, because Canada is world class and skating and hockey, so you can achieve all those heights with this coaching style.
Of course, yeah. Well, I think it's the person first. It's not the athlete, and that's been the case in Canada for a long time. No, and we're not perfect in Canada either. We have some stumbling and kabumbling going on right now, and hopefully we'll get it all straightened out. But a lot of this, I hear, and I've been told that it's a communist hangover, like authoritarian, and
Right.
But it's one of the things that in Edmonton, when I was with the Oilers, that I found really interesting. On their Stanley Cup ring, they have a carrot. And they, the old line about you motivate people either with the carrot or the stick.
Or stick, yeah.
And they have a carrot, and the Stanley Cup ring I have is 5 bites out of it because it was the 5th Stanley Cup. They really totally believed in positive motivation. And the younger coaches are getting it here, and they understand it works because they're more in touch. But the older coaches, and not to blame them, that was the example they had. So that's all they had to go with. So there's been a really positive change, to say the least.
I want to talk a little bit more about Hungary and Budapest, and we've had the privilege to be in some wonderful conversations with the people that are running the airport, with architects, with musicians, tour guides, with restaurateurs, and we've really looking at Hungary through a different lens, through a lens of people that have moved here or had roots here initially and had come back. And what we're getting to understand is that this is really not only a welcoming place, but a wonderful place to come visit and learn about history and culture, and so easy to get to and so accessible to everywhere else. Talk about what Hungary means to you, and you've been here a long time. It's not a 20-year journey like some of the people, but this is a long time. This has been a long gig for you guys, right? So tell me about what it means to you, Hungary.
Shopping? I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. No,
He has a point. The malls
He
are
makes a good point, though.
The malls are fabulous.
yeah, but the thing about the life here, it's easy. It's easy.
It is easy.
Yeah, it is. You don't. You're not waking up in the morning and saying, "Oh my God, I've got to face this," or "I've got to deal with that today." People are really accommodating. And like I mentioned earlier, as far as attracting people here, North America would be the last place to figure out what a great city this is. This is a world-class city.
Yeah.
Hands down.
absolutely.
Hands
Yeah.
down. In a number of different ways. Like, there's a lot of tourists come here now. Some of them are bachelor parties from England and Ireland and so on. That's for sure. But there's a lot of people coming here now just to
With their kids too.
with their
families,
kids,
you
just to
see
enjoy the city and.
families.
And like I said, you're close to everything. Like Lake Balaton, which is near here, is a really, really cool place. Is it the largest lake in Europe, if I'm mistaken? Not mistaken, yeah. So, and we've been around it a couple of times, and it's not touristy. There's gift shops here, but there's not very many of them. And what I found too is there's lots of holidays.
There's a lot of
holidays, but they don't just have a holiday; they'll celebrate it.
Right.
I remember 2 years ago, Brian Adams was a special guest here, and they had him on up on
Hero Square.
Hero Square. They had the stage there, and they had the whole Andrassy filled, and they had big cameras all the way along. And the Pope was here. Was that last year?
Yeah, I think it was
Same thing. You know, he went up and down, and you know, you get your pictures and stuff. But it's friendly. Like there are TV screens so you can see everything. Great music scene here too. One of the guys we work with, Benny, he plays in 2 different bands. There's you just go. Walk down any street in the main part of town. You're going to run into live music. And again, like, you know, walk around. There's all kinds of places to sit out. People are enjoying themselves.
Yeah. Food.
I think I told you, talking about food.
Yeah.
One of our good friends, Bob, he and his wife Sandy, they travel a lot, and they love coming to Europe. But one of the things that a waiter said to him one time, "You North Americans, put your fork down every now and then." Because, you know, North Americans sit and eat, and anyway.
Yeah.
That's one of our habits, one of our bad habits.
I also notice here too that, I don't know if you'd call it more civilized, but I find it fascinating that you could be in the middle of a square at a wine show, and they're giving you glasses, real wine glasses, not out of a paper cup, and nobody's breaking them.
Right.
And there's lovely blankets left out to keep you warm, and nobody takes them.
And we know that wouldn't happen at home.
Even homeless people are nice. Like, they don't bother people.
Right.
They're not in your face, and it happens in every city. I mean, every city has homeless people, but everything here is just, no one's yelling. No one's blowing their horn.
What do you attribute this calmness to?
I don't know.
Because this is leading up to this time and space that we are in Hungary. It has been a complicated place, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
But yet,
to say the least.
to say the least. In the last 100 years, it's been complicated, and most North Americans couldn't quite figure out what's going on, right? But yet, you're right. There is a calmness about it. When you walk down the street, you don't feel rushed, hustled, bothered. There's nobody yelling. There's no drunks or nothing.
No,
What is it, do you think?
I think that part of it's the longevity of the culture. They've been here so long and been civilized so long.
Right.
And I think they're over themselves a little bit. Like we're too concerned about ourselves in North America a lot of the time. Not so much in Atlantic Canada, but especially in Newfoundland. But I think people here they're living life. No, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I tell my buddies at times that I haven't run into anybody in Hungary yet that's going to die from work-related stress.
You're right. Yeah.
You know, they have it figured out, and that's a compliment. That's not a, you know, they have it figured out.
But yet there's innovation and there's big things happening.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was in the country the other day and I saw a company with disruptive technology that you wouldn't see in North America. So there's innovation, there's business churning, but yet, as you say, they've somehow managed to balance this.
Well, part of it, I think, is education, because education is a big thing here. You get free education through university, if I'm not mistaken, and it's valued, it's respected. And part of growing up in Morell PEI, a key thing for all us was our high school teachers.
Right.
Our teachers, period. I shouldn't just say high school. They're the ones you remember the most, I guess. But they were a huge influence on our lives. Huge. In a very positive way. And again, the same thing. Like, yes, they got mad at me a few times at least. But you know, it was a positive educational experience, and you wanted to learn, you wanted to get better, and they kind of opened up your eyes to the world. I think in Budapest, their eyes are already open because the country's seen so much and been through so much, and they just make it happen anyway.
And they have an appreciation for probably where they're headed, or where they are.
Yeah, that's right.
Right now.
Do you bring a lot of people over? Do a lot of people come visit?
We've had a few family members come over, but then COVID.
Right, of course. COVID was right in the middle,
So next year we'll have family over.
You'll ramp that up.
Well, it's interesting when they had the curfew here, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. I know what would happen at home. There'd be all kinds of people sneaking around and stuff. And I did a little bit here, go visit a friend, a guy that we work with, and there's nobody on the street. They follow the rules here. When if the light, the crosswalk is red, they wait. Even if there's no cars, they're going to wait. They're very respectful, and they follow the rules.
It's amazing to have been here during COVID.
Right.
When at 8 o'clock there was not a soul.
They just follow the rules.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
our boys are here with us. We have 2 boys, 18 and 19 years old, and they've accompanied us. In fact, they're supposed to be lifting the gear, but they didn't bother doing that tonight. Anyway, they left that to us. But anyway,
They're gone to the ruins.
They're gone to the ruins, yeah. So, but they made that comment last night to us.
Yeah.
We went to a little gyro stand at the end of the night, and they commented how everybody was so orderly and lining up and nobody butting in front of anybody.
yeah.
And just everybody was peaceful and calm and lined up to do what they needed to do
Yeah.
and moved on.
It's kind of
That's it.
a stress-free way to live.
Yeah.
Our experience has been great.
But the other part, things get done too.
Yeah.
They get done.
100%.
So that's cool.
100%. I mean, that's
There's
what I
no
mean.
chaos.
Things are happening in this country. This country's advancing. I mean, again, I go back to innovation that I saw. Airports that, quite honestly, one of the nicest airports I've walked in a very long time.
Yeah.
Everything very organized, very clean, very tidy. It was a very logical airport. I've been in airports in the U.S., as I'm sure you both have. Like, honest to God, what's going on here? Is there any money being put into this thing, right? But that's not the case. So obviously, things are happening. So it's a
University,
wonderful.
too. The universities, you get a lot of students.
Yeah.
And I met a young lady when I was shopping one day.
When you were shopping.
Hard to believe, but it happened.
Yeah.
But she was from Toronto.
Yeah.
And she had Hungarian roots. And when she finished, I believe it was university, she wanted to go see where her mom was from. She's been here now over a year, and she loves it.
Yeah.
So young people love it here. They find it hip and cool, and
Yes.
we find we're hip and cool. We like it.
I don't know if it ever was,
The other
but
thing,
anyway.
here too is everything's walkable.
Yeah.
Like we can pretty much hit every tourist
Yeah.
place you'd want to
Yeah,
go
Yeah.
within a half an hour.
Do you do the spas? That's a big thing here.
We've done
been
them.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're great. They're
Is
great.
that right?
Awesome. You have to. You're going to, right?
Well, our schedule is tight, but we're going to try. We're going to try to get to the spas for sure. We went last evening, but they were closed when we arrived. So Jerry and I and the 2 boys went. But I think we're going to try on Saturday to get there for sure.
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
Great
It'll
experience.
be fun.
We didn't bring any swim gear with us, so we'd have to rent the gear, and God only knows what they're going to give us. It's not going to be pretty.
So can you just talk a little bit about your experience with the bath? Because I think that in Newfoundland they don't really get the idea of this outdoor pools and why do they have so many pools and with the same temperature. What is this bathing culture?
I went with my daughter. She and I came over for actually Christmas markets. We were here as tourists then. That's when.
Right.
That was in December when we were living in Austria, and it's just fascinating just going from a hot bath to a cold bath, and
Yeah.
different scents and smells, and you can stay in the pool. I mean, in some of the one up by Hero Square, and I can't pronounce it, so I'll butcher it.
Széchenyi bath.
That's the one.
Széchenyi bath.
Indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
But they have parties there, and I just found it amazing. It's such a huge complex, and everything works.
Yeah.
And you just want to go into every bath because it offers something different.
Yeah. And my boy turns 19 on Saturday, and Judith has an 18-year-old daughter, 18 or 19?
18.
18. Jerry's son is 19, and Judith's daughter is going to take the boys to Saturday night and apparently it's like a party party thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that should be an
At the
interesting
same place,
evening.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you went to the Gellert also.
Yeah, the Gellert has it, and there's another bath just on the Buddha side, down from the Gellert.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're really cool. And,
Yeah.
and again, everybody's relaxed.
Right.
Like at home, we'd be worried, oh, do I have the right kind of bathing suit on, or
Yeah.
who's looking at
Yeah.
me? Not here.
Yeah,
No
no
one's
one-
paying any attention.
Have you been to the Rudas? That when you can look the view onto the Danube and you can see the parliament. It's an open space, hot tub.
No.
No.
That's
Oh.
next to Gellert.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that'd be
Is that the
nice.
one up behind the Gellert?
No, before.
Oh, the one before. Okay.
The one
okay.
before
okay.
Gellert.
Well, it's something new to try.
Yes.
There you go. You never know when you're going to find this city. Like, I mean, but that's the thing about this city, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot here,
Yeah.
and there's always something new.
Oh.
If you were to tell somebody to, come visit Budapest, how long do you think they should come for? What should be a visit?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you could see a lot in just 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Oh, and I say that because you can walk. It's a very walkable city, and there's trams and buses and
Yeah.
everything else. But you could walk from the Parliament to the Market Hall,
Right.
hit a few beautiful bridges along the way and things in between in 30 minutes.
30, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You can walk to Herald Square,
Well, that's another 30 minutes.
you know,
Yeah,
it's a
but
different
it's still
direction.
close.
Yeah.
But
When
if
you get to
you're-
Hero Square, though, you have the bats are near there, and
the castle, and we were here for an outdoor classic hockey game.
I was
Really?
working in Austria.
Amazing.
And that's right there by.
In front of the castle, the
Right.
game was.
You know the location. We have an annual event there too with the youth hockey with the 8-10s. We have, I think it's 30 different rinks on there, and it's something to behold. All
Yeah.
these kids playing, and everybody's having a blast, and it's the size of like a couple of football fields.
Right.
But when Michelle's talking about the outdoor event, we had 2 teams. It was run through the Able League. It's the Ice League now, and we had Klagenfurt from Austria, and Feavar from here, and so on. And the backdrop's a castle. I think TSN,
Spectacular.
one of
Can't
their
make it up.
shows, Bar Down, I think it is. They said the best outdoor location ever
Right.
for a game.
Yeah.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
You could spend so much time here.
Yeah.
It depends. Like if you're a European, you could come over for 3 or 4 days. If you're North American, you could easily stay here for at least a week. You could do 2 weeks here and
Right.
fine, because you could visit neighboring countries.
Yeah. See, right.
As
of course.
well.
Yeah.
You know, you could do a river cruise.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of
And-
those,
and
right?
hit A lot of them.
lots.
Yeah.
You know,
And catering to a different demographic altogether, right?
Yeah.
They're
Right.
not going to the ruins bars and stuff like that,
No.
Yeah.
but still, there's something in Budapest for everybody.
That's a great point, because I was saying earlier about the bachelor parties and so on, and you see the river cruises. That's an older population, obviously. So this speaks to every age, in my opinion.
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, it's affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the other thing with the forint as opposed to the euro.
or the Canadian
It's,
dollar and the Canadian taxes.
We go.
Yeah.
We're in shock when we go home and buy groceries.
Imagine, eh?
Oh my gosh, the difference.
Yeah.
It's so easy to travel here, and I do think it's taken off for North Americans.
Right.
Newfoundlanders love to travel,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people who've been to Budapest because it's catching on, and people are realizing that it's a world-class city. It's beautiful. It has events. It has concerts. It has food.
Yeah.
It's got music,
Yeah.
and your backdrop is the Danube. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
just spectacular.
And the food. Tell me about the food.
Goulash.
What's your favorite?
I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I love goulash.
Yeah,
I
goulash.
love
Or
goulash.
chicken paprikash.
Yeah, yeah. We took a cooking course
Yeah,
here
we did cooking.
3 years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was really cool. You meet the lady at the market, the main market, and she takes you around and shows you the spices, and you actually buy them, and the meats, the cuts of meats that you should look for. And we went to her kitchen, her studio kitchen, whatever,
Yeah.
and it was really cool. Took 4 hours or so, and
Yeah, you prepare the meal and you learn too.
Right.
You know,
Not a
about
lot
it
of
as
fish
you
here,
go.
No.
not a lot of fish.
Not a lot of fish. Not a lot of lobster. Although there's a lobster dinner coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Don knows about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a
See,
lobster.
and unfortunately, I can't go because we have a game that night.
Right.
And I have to tell you, when on PEI, I call Terry Squires up. Hey Terry, what time are you going to be at the wharf? Can I get a dozen lobsters?
Yeah.
And he'll tell me I'll be there at 1:15, and when I get to his boat, they're already cooked. So it's great. So I'm going to miss the event because I hear it's a spectacular event.
Yeah,
but,
that would be nice
The
to be able to
lobsters,
go.
we're kind of
Yeah.
used to it.
You have a different relationship with lobster
Yes.
than many of the
That's a
people
nice way of
that are
putting it.
coming here, right? Yeah. Look, I've got a couple of brother-in-laws back in PEI, Dave Snowy and Dave Archer, huge Leaf fans, big hockey guys. They'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of good hockey stories. So you got any good hockey stories for the audience? Some funny things that happen along the way.
From here?
Anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Or in your travels?
Oh yeah, there's been lots of fun stuff. I wish I had time to think about it. There's
Some funny ones.
I had lots of fun times in Detroit when I was assistant coach with Jacques Demers because, French Canadian and, all kinds of things. But one story, we were playing the first year we were there. The year before, Detroit finished last in the NHL.
Okay.
40 points.
All right.
So there's only one way we can go.
Yeah.
We had a really good start to the season. So it's basically this time of year, we're playing Saturday night Maple Leaf Gardens, which if you're a Canadian hockey fan, that's it. You're either watching Saturday night, you're watching from the Montreal Forum or Maple Leaf Gardens. So we're playing and all ready to go. The team's really nervous, and Glenn Hanlon's our goalie. And the referee, Dave Knoll, he blows the whistle and he points to the goal judge. The light flashes. The other goal judge, same thing, and ready to drop the puck. And then our goalie, Glenn, is skating to the bench, like really as fast as he can. And so I nudged Jacques. I said, "Jacques, here comes Glenn." And Jacques' a really nervous guy, a great guy, but a really nervous guy. He said, "Oh, Glenn, what's wrong?" And he said, "Jacques, we can't start the game." "Why? What's wrong?" He says, "Look at the clock." So Jacques looks at the score clock over center ice. It says 0-0 score, 20 minutes on the clock, which is reversed from here, as you know, right? So he says, he said, no, it's not that clock. There's a clock on the wall behind my net. And any old Leafs fans would know that, right next to Harold Ballard's bunker. And it's only 8 o'clock. My parents go shopping every Saturday night. They don't get home till 8. We've got to give them 5 minutes to put their groceries away. And that's all it took.
Is that right?
The guys just broke up. Like, fans are looking down. What's wrong? Is there a problem on the bench? But you had to know Glenn Hanlon too. He's a super guy.
Yeah.
But that was it.
Yeah.
No problem.
No problem.
I'm sorry to hear you have two brothers-in-law that are Leafs fans, but
You say that again right into the camera. I've been saying that for a long time.
Oh my
His
God.
wife's a Leafs fan.
What's that?
I'm a closet Leafs fan.
You're a closet Leafs fan. Yeah. That's great. I mean, it's you guys have had a wonderful journey.
We're having fun.
Did you write in your Mary Queen of Peace yearbook that you would like to travel through Europe and live in Budapest? I mean, did you ever imagine life would turn out like this?
I didn't know when I went to travel school that I would end up living in some of the places.
Where did you go to travel school?
It was called a Career Academy. It was in St. John's.
Career Academy in St. John's.
Yeah.
And so how long was that program?
Oh, it was 9 months.
A 9-month program, and a love of hockey
I know.
has brought you to this place.
And now I'm retired.
No, I did. I'm just kidding.
But
Isn't it funny though, eh?
I mean, that's amazing, right? So there'll be people that are watching. There'll be young men and women that are in programs exactly like that, wondering where their career is going to go. Can't quite figure it out.
Go anywhere.
What would you say to them? What would a piece of advice be to somebody that's just starting off right now?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Just embrace it. If you love travel, travel.
Yeah.
Pick your spots. Go. It's so easy now. When I was growing up, you didn't travel unless you went on a student exchange. But now, kids are 8 and 10 years old traveling to Europe for Easter break.
Right.
The world's gotten a whole lot smaller since we were growing up. I just think people should embrace it.
No one I know went to Europe for March break and for Mary Queen of Peace.
Me neither.
Right, but you're right, now they do.
Now they do.
And they get to touch it and feel it. And that's the beauty of travel, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you touch it and feel it, you want more.
Exactly.
You want more. And a place like
get
this.
the bug.
Yeah. Well, we used to go to Charlottetown for our school road trips.
That's a big trip in, right?
Yeah.
20
From Morell to
kilometers away.
Charlottetown.
Yeah.
Might get out to Cavendish once in a while. You really need to go out to Cavendish if you live in
Oh
Morell.
no, you never go near those tourist traps. But it's interesting with me growing up. My parents bought encyclopedias for my brother and I, and I loved them. I was going through them all the time, but I was especially drawn to countries. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And the maps. Maybe it was the maps, but that's always been kind of a goal of mine. Like, I love what I've been able to do is combine my career and all this travel. I've been everywhere. We joke we're looking forward to retiring and going home and not going anywhere. because
Seeing more of Newfoundland and PEI and Canada.
Because we've already been blessed to live here and other places. So
Yeah.
We're doing it reverse of most people. Most people retire, then travel.
Yeah, but
We'll work and travel, then we'll go home, retire, and see Newfoundland and all of Canada.
wow, that's a beautiful thing, though, right? And
Oh, it's great.
You've situated yourself quite nicely with place in Renews. You have a place in St. John's as well?
Yeah.
St. John's, Renews, Morell, or Lakeside, I
Lakeside.
guess.
Yeah.
Lakeside.
For those
And
that don't
Budapest.
know. And Budapest.
And to think I was registered to do secretarial science. And I heard on the radio a travel course. So I changed it.
Did
I
you?
went into the phoned the school and said I want to change and I want to do travel. Here we are.
You heard it on VOCM probably, that this course was
doubt.
being offered,
Yeah.
and you changed your path.
Yep.
It's amazing, eh? How one little thing can change your journey.
Yep. Here we are.
I was going to be a phys ed teacher, go back to Morell High and be there the rest of my life.
Right.
Which, by the way, would be a great life too.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
No
Lots of
question.
good people in Morell that need phys ed teachers, right?
Yeah.
Lots of good ones there.
Yeah, but your life has been quite a path. I mean, do you guys wake up in the morning and say, wow? Or do you just take it for granted now?
Sometimes I think we think of it more when we're walking along the Danube
Yeah.
or through a vineyard. You know what I mean? When you're out experiencing it, then you're like, wow.
Right.
Can you believe we're here?
Well, I don't think we don't take anything for granted. Like,
No.
I think that might be part of it. Like like this morning walking on the Vashi, going up towards the market, and that's kind of our basic walk. And we say, oh look, we didn't notice those things in that building before. And it's something like that every day. So it's not like, oh, let's just go walk and put our head down and go.
Incredibly blessed.
We're still Atlantic Canadians, but we've got a touch of European in us now when it comes to that. Like, just take the time and the old smell the roses line.
Right.
And it's real easy to do that here.
And understanding cultures is so important.
When
People's perspective and, I love culture, people's culture. We're knowing about them and how they live, which is so different from where we live and what we do.
Right, and we have a beautiful culture as well, but you're
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
But you're right, I mean, the richness of this culture is unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is your Hungarian going?
Oh. Éges.
We know that one.
That's a hard word, right? It's a hard
It's a
word.
tough language.
That's
I make
very
the
tough.
joke. I make the joke that the Hungarians put the Z in sex, like it's SEX for us. It's SZEX. It's not that funny, I guess.
That's good.
But some of the words are like 14 letters long.
Yeah,
But the thing when you're over here, everybody speaks
English.
Yeah.
English. Oh, and at least 2 other languages.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Right.
Our hockey operations guy speaks 4.
wow.
You know, he's been to PEI, by the way, and
Yeah.
but he speaks obviously Hungarian and Russian and what else does he speak? German and some Italian.
English.
And English, yeah. Oh yeah, and everybody's like that here.
You must have inspired, the both of you must have inspired a lot of people around the world to go visit Newfoundland and Prince Edward Island and telling them about where you're from, because you guys come from pretty unique
one.
places, right?
Walking travel agent for Newfoundland.
Is that
I'm
right?
a billboard for.
So we got this TV package. I have to tell you, like this morning when I came back at lunchtime, Michelle had NTV on news. I said, we watched that last night. Now I know you're homesick. You're watching reruns of NTV news.
She's getting ready
That's
to go
a bad
back.
sign.
Well, she's getting ready to go back.
So we can still watch our news in Newfoundland.
Sure.
Yeah.
When we're here.
Yeah.
So
it's
you know,
fantastic.
it works. Everything.
Well, that's what
we're
the
so
world
fortunate.
provides us now. I
Yeah.
remember when I was in Japan first. That's just when the internet started.
Yeah.
So and I remember the first application that we used all the time was Canoe.
Yeah.
You could connect and you could find out, get news, and well, that's a long time ago. When I was growing up in Morell, our phone number was 20, 2 rings, like two credits.
really dating yourself.
No, you don't remember that. Okay, just dated myself.
But that's the thing here too. Kids go to school and they learn English.
Right. Yeah.
People here know English, and it makes it easy to travel when you can go to a country and know that you will invariably at some point
Right.
be talking to someone in English, or you can ask questions in English. I shop. And
You shop?
I
Yes, she
know.
does.
I know they speak English. They're very helpful, especially when you're meeting young people. They know it, and now there's Google Translate, where
Yeah.
you can put your phone over a label and read it. And you can record your voice in English and it will translate into Hungarian. So there's every option.
No barriers, no language barriers.
No, there's no
right?
barriers.
Yeah.
Not
You know?
even people who don't speak English or Hungarian,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Easy to visit and easy to
Maneuver.
communicate. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Judith, what a wonderful conversation. What do you think?
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I love to hear so much good things about my own country that I'm kind of jealous of myself living here, right? It's a beautiful
Yeah.
country and a beautiful city to live in, but I feel so fortunate to having spent the last 10 years in Newfoundland. So really, you're probably Newfoundlanders and East Coasters by birth, but I'm an East Coaster by heart, definitely.
Aw, that's sweet.
Good. Well, thank you very much for inviting us into your journey and into your evening. I know you're busy. You've got to go coach a hockey game now, but it's been an absolute...
No more coaching.
No more coaching. It's been an absolute pleasure to
Oh,
be
it's been our
in conversation. And look at Budapest through the lens of St. John's, Newfoundland, and Morell, Prince Edward Island. It's been really, really good. And in reverse as well. I wish you all the best with the new grandchild. And
Thank you.
Harry, right?
Yes,
You're right.
Harry.
So Harry, I think Harry's going to have interesting conversations with Grammy and Grampy, or Nan and Pop,
Nanny and Poppy.
Nanny and Poppy, when he gets to learn about your adventures through life, because quite honestly, they've been fascinating. And thanks again. And Judith, what does the world need more of?
More Michelle, more Don.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
It's
It
been
has.
fun.
Thank you. Thanks.
I just wanted to pop in here and introduce the next little clip. When we were in Budapest and we first met Don, I said to Don, Mike Keenan and Mike Polino are actually coaching for Italy, and I was a little bit starstruck. And Don just kind of matter-of-factly goes, he said, well, I can arrange an interview. So sure enough, he did. This is that interview. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. This is Gale Force Wins, and we are here at an incredible hockey tournament in Budapest, Hungary. I can't believe we're here, and I can't believe I'm here with your Mike.
Mike Polino, yeah.
Mike Polino and
Mike Keenan.
So, gentlemen, what is it you're doing here for this tournament?
Well, we're actually coaching the national Italian team, and Mike and I are in the program leading up to the Olympics in 2026 in Italy. So this was our first encounter, our first opportunity to work with our team. First game we've coached with Team Italy. So it's an exciting time for those young players to be invited, first of all, to be part of the Italian program, the national program leading into the Olympics. And certainly it's been a great experience for us. I've been here for over a month. Mike's been here just less than a month. And we're trying to evaluate players and look at players and scout players and coach players in a very short period of time. So it's been challenging, but it's been interesting and a lot of fun for us. Mike can speak for himself, but he certainly has a history. Mike's dad was born in Italy, so we have to remind people of that.
Tell us about that.
Well, Mike and I are true-blooded Canadians, but my dad was born in Italy in 1931 and came over to Canada, and he just recently celebrated his 91st birthday, so he's pretty thrilled to have me back in his old country, and I'm pretty thrilled to be in a position to represent us and be a part of Team Italy.
As Canadians, what is it like to coach another team for another country? Give us a sense of what that's like.
Well, we've had that experience before. Mike and I coached in the National Hockey League for many, many years, and then we coached in Russia in the KHL. We were in Heartland, Russia, in the Ural Mountains where nobody could speak English, so we had to help ourselves to the Russian language to a point where we get by and go to a restaurant and order a meal. And then I went to China after that, and Michael stayed in Russia. So we've had some experience in foreign lands and coaching foreign teams. It's been an interesting few years for both of us in international competition. Of course, I coached Team Canada, and so did Michael on many occasions.
But yeah, it's a real honor to coach a national team for any country. And it's something we're very proud of to know that the Italian Federation is entrusting their high hopes and especially their Olympic dreams to Mike and myself, and they couldn't have picked a better coach than Mike, and I'm just really proud to be part of the team and looking forward to what we might accomplish over these next 4 years.
We are an inspirational podcast, and we talk a lot about inspiring. We talk to entrepreneurs. You both have coached at the highest level in this sport. Give us a sense of what it is like to motivate a young person to try and be the best they can be. I know that could be a 2-hour response.
No, it's
encapsulated in 30 seconds.
Well, it's a challenge for sure, but it's not unlike having very young players. I coached in Philadelphia my first year, and we had the youngest team in pro sport, not just in the National Hockey League. And we had to win the President's Trophy and go into the Stanley Cup Finals. A guy named Gretzky, Messier, Coffey, Fuhrer, Anderson, a bunch of Hall of Famers, Yuri Curry, beat us in the finals that particular year. But no, to the point, we get a chance to work with young people, develop them, and try to have them understand what it takes to win and what it takes to move to a different level and a more, I think, stronger level in terms of their performance and what they can expect of themselves and of their teammates.
Yeah, just to pick up on that, I mean, these guys are so thrilled to have the opportunity to potentially represent Italy at the Olympics in their home country, and they're motivated. And now when they see that the opportunity they're getting to showcase themselves and to be taught and groomed by us, hopefully, and improve, they're pretty pumped to what awaits for them, and hopefully it is to wear the Italian colors at the Olympics in 2026.
Well, gentlemen, this is an absolute pleasure and a privilege for us, all the way from St. John's, Newfoundland, and Charlottetown, PEI. We're here doing some work
I've spent time in both provinces for sure. I've been in Newfoundland teaching at the university there in the summers on several occasions, and I've been to PEI. So we are well versed in Canada, and I've lived in many provinces, and I've visited all the provinces and territories, and I think Mike has probably done the same thing. So we're proud to be Canadians, and we're particularly excited when we go to Newfoundland. We've been there many times. Well, I really appreciate and enjoy the people there.
No, Mike's right. Newfoundland and PEI are two of my favorite places in the world, and I hope to get back there soon. But I've got some relatives, some great friends in PEI specifically, and I can make a shout out to them. Hopefully they get a chance to watch this podcast, and hopefully our friends back home in Ontario too as well.
Well, gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to be with you, and I wish you all the best of luck.
What brings you here?
Well, you know what? We are here at the request of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Hungary. We actually started this podcast on Zoom, and this is an old Navy friend of mine, grew up in the East End of St. John's. We rekindled our relationship on Zoom, and it blew up for us, and we've been in Greece, Turks and Caicos, a lot of work on the Canadian Navy destroyers, interviewing sailors. Really proud of that work.
Yeah, you're with our military guys, and shout out to them. I could tell you a quick story about them.
Yes, we like that.
In 1987, we won the Canada Cup, and I was on Georgian Bay, and some military fellows ended up at a pub I was in up on the Midland, Ontario. And all of a sudden, they said, "What are you doing here?" We just saw you play last night in Hamilton. So they were great people and a lot of fun to be with. So, yeah, we appreciate their efforts and what they're contributing to the Canadian forces and to Canada overall.
Well, just before you talk, we were on the ship HNCS Montreal, and two of us flew to Crete, and the young people, like 19 years of age, when we told them that Canada's proud of them, you could tell they got emotional. And I'm getting goosebumps now, but it's really important to tell those young sailors that we're proud of them. So
absolutely,
Mike, I really appreciate it. And a lot of people look up to the two of you, so thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And like Mike says, we are proud of the people who do represent Canada and stand up for us. And I mean, they're way more special than we are, that's for sure. And our hats go off to them, so thank you.
Of all places to bang into the finest hockey coaches in Canada, here in Budapest, Hungary. It's a great honor to be in front of both of you, and I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gale Force.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Wins. That's Gale Force Wins, WINS.com.